How do you evaluate your risk threshold on homes that need some rehab work? And how much time do you put into a home versus hiring professionals? That's a good question. So, risk threshold on homes that need rehab work. I don't really know what that means. How much time do you put into a home? Not any. I don't. I don't do any of the work. I've never been a handy fella. There have been a couple of times where my son and I have gone in and did things like paint, maybe a little light flooring, but that's just as we've had the time to do it. We purchase all of our properties with the numbers ran. So we borrow 100% of the purchase price plus the rehab cost. So as we're walking through a property, we're determining how much money is needed on that particular property. And then we are setting aside those funds to hire some contractors to go in and do it. So we have a decent relationship with contractors, ones that we use regularly, and as long as they have the time to do it, then we pay the professionals to do it. Risk threshold, we're willing to take on anything so long as the numbers work. And I would challenge everybody and their thought on risk outside of when you're analyzing a property. Like, there's no real risk in a single family home. I think when people say risk as it relates to rehab are things that are unknown, things that you didn't see that weren't kind of expected. But I struggle to see it as risk when it can be fixed and when that mistake can be amortized over 30 years. It makes it a really low risk. So if everything on the house can be fixed for a particular price, then it just becomes, it's not risk so much as it's just a financial thing that needs to be solved. It's just a math problem that needs to be worked out. A good example of this is, so I would like to summarize everything that I just said as a blanket statement of there aren't any red flags, there aren't any risks when you're looking at a property. The appropriate formula to judge every new acquisition off of is purchase price plus rehab costs equals 75% or less of the after repair value. So it doesn't matter what kind of condition the house is in, so long as it fits that formula. If it has a foundation issue that needs $50,000 to fix, then if that's the only thing, and because of that, it's worth 200,000, but they're willing to sell it for 100,000, then that makes it worthwhile. That's a very good purchase for you. Now add in all the other types of deferred maintenance against it, then that's just going to need to enter that formula. So the biggest mistake that we've made so far in real estate investing was with one property where we accidentally completely overlooked the fact that this property was condemned for lead-based paint. So the county had it posted. I should have seen it as I walked through. That nobody could live there until all of the lead had been remediated appropriately. So we purchased this property for $45,000, and we had budgeted about $15,000 for this property because that's all it really needs. But because it has been condemned, they want all of the interior to be encapsulated by somebody that's certified to do the lead-based paint remediation. In addition, instead of just encapsulating the exterior, windows and siding, they want the siding completely replaced and all of the windows completely replaced, also by a lead-based paint certified contractor. So the property would likely appraise for 120,000 perhaps, and that's probably on the high end, maybe 100,000. The market's just increasing at the moment so quick, it's really tough to point that down. But we recently got a batch of appraisals back, and a lot of properties in similar condition appraised for about 120,000. Before this, I was estimating the value of the property to be about 90,000. So let's just work with that, because that's the numbers that I originally knew and used when I was classifying this as a really big mistake. So we purchased the property for 45,000. We expected to be worth 90,000. We expected to put 15 into it. So we were really close to that 75% after repair value. Now, after getting that new information about the property being condemned for lead-based paint, we reached out to the appropriate contractor that was certified and all the appropriate things. He's been in communications with the county that is requiring all of this work, and our total bill for that property is going to be $56,000. Now, since the time we purchased the property and since now, we also need to put an $8,000 roof on the property. So 56,000 plus that $8,000 roof. Now we're at 64,000 plus the $45,000 purchase price. So we're at 109,000 on a $90,000 home. So if you take the $90,000 times 0.75, we have the ability to pull out 67,500 of that, which is going to leave us $41,500 difference that we have to leave into that property rather than pull it out. Now, since the market has increased, I think we're going to get lucky. I think the 75% of 120,000 is 90,000. So if we're able to pull out 90,000 from that property, then that means we only have 19,000 that we're leaving into that property. In addition, as soon as we transfer this to that long-term financing, it's going to be amortized over 30 years. If it's a cash flowing asset that you plan on keeping long-term, the property is going to continue to appreciate. You're going to continue paying down the principal. You're able to amortize that mistake. And over the next 20, 30 years, you're going to be fine. So long as the property is well maintained and you don't defer any of the future maintenance. If you keep good people that want to take care of the property in it and try to minimize your risk of putting in someone that's going to tear up the property by doing some annual inspections or semi-annually inspections, then I think you're going to be good. And worst case scenario, it's an asset that your kids won't profit from, but maybe your kids' kids will.
Thanks for watching that clip. I thought that was a good question. And I think you can ask good questions too. Join us every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live stream Q&A where we answer plenty of questions just like this one. In the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel if you want more of this content. And if you want to increase your deal flow, analyze properties better, and help me feed my family, click the link below for a free 7-day trial of PropStream.